the October Town Council meeting to order. I'd like to welcome all our visitors tonight. At this time, we'll have a prayer and the pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
Thank you. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come before your presence, and we come as grateful people, thankful for all the blessings that you daily bestow upon us. We pray tonight that you will guide this council and the decisions and give them the right decisions to make that will benefit the citizens of this community. We pray you'll bless each one on this council, each one on the staff of this town. And Father, we pray tonight for the nation of Israel, yes, that you will cover them and protect them and give them the grace that they need in this hour of great trial and great trouble. We are admonished in the Word of God to pray for Israel, and Lord, we must do that. Now help us tonight. Bless this meeting, bless its people, and may all that is accomplished here tonight truly bring honor, glory, and praise to your name. For it is in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Let's stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
First item of business is a public hearing. The purpose of the public hearing will be to receive public comments concerning the adoption by the Town Council of an ordinance to amend and reenact Section 185-185-19 of the Code of the Town of Appomattox, Chapter 185, Article 3, Section 19, entitled Parking in Conformity with Signs, Yellow Curb Markings. Any comments? Next item for the public hearing, the purpose to receive public comments concerning the following. Amendments to the FY 2024 budget of the Town of Appomattox in accordance with Section 15.2-2506 Code of Virginia. The following is a brief synopsis of the budget amendment by the Town of Appomattox for FY 2024. Basically, total expenditures amendments, $4,574,531, and the like amount for total revenue amendments. And finally, we have, that's all for the for the public hearing. This time I'll close the public hearing. Then on the council business. I'd like to welcome everyone tonight. We're into one of the more celebratory times in the Town of Appomattox as we come upon the Railroad Festival. I hope that all can come and enjoy and have a safe time here and return safely home. First, we have a scheduled public appearance from Nathan Harbin concerning the train depot. Mr. Harbin.
Hi, good evening. Good to see a lot of familiar faces. It's been a few years. Just picking up on some projects that we left off on going back to 2015, 2016, I believe. So I appreciate the opportunity to pick back up and work with you all. I guess it was back in sometime in August that myself and Mr. McGee met and walked around the site, took a look at some things, and this package is not intended to be a fully developed, here we are, present it to you as a finished concept. This is more what I wanted to share with you guys at the council retreat that I unfortunately couldn't be at. So just wanted to pick up there And the plan is, just to get some input, make sure we've covered all the bases, give you guys a chance to tell me if, there's any other issues that you've heard from the community, things that you've seen that you'd like to see included in the project that we haven't touched on here. And over the next couple of weeks, hopefully I'll check on dates and we'll look at setting a date to get back in front of you guys with a complete concept site plan and a budget of what we're looking at as far as the total budget for the railroad station improvements with the overall construction and everything going on right now. But we're looking right now, we had talked about a figure somewhere in the range of 5 to 10% of total construction for kind of the site icing on the cake, if you will, which would equal out to, if I remember right, roughly 35,000 to 70,000, somewhere in that range, maybe 40 to 80. But if we give you some good ideas and you like it, we'll see where the general contractor can put some pricing together for already being on the job, and we'll go from there. So basically, the overall plan here, we picked up on some of the old surveys that had been collected over time. And really the last time that the site itself had been, enhanced, worked on from the original plans was, I believe, what Hurt and Profit worked on with you guys. And it's probably been some 25 years ago. Right in that range, and that included, the pavers on Main Street. Jefferson, as y'all done sidewalk replacement over the years, done the accent bands, things like that. So it's established a theme, again with the site furnishings, the planters, the benches. And our goal here would be to continue, using that and carry it out throughout the project here. The sidewalks overall are in pretty good shape. There's a few areas that we make suggestions of removal and replacement, and we'll just see where things land budget-wise on that. But you already have your tree grates, your pavers, and really, one of the things we wanted to look at, the street trees that are out here now. The European hornbeams, they, for simple terms, are reaching the end of their useful lifespan. I know it can get, be a little bit of a sensitive subject, especially when people talk about removing trees, things like that. But they truly are at a point that I would recommend moving forward with, possibly swapping them out and doing a refresh at this stage. Doesn't require new tree grates. They can be removed. The pit stumps excavated, and we put something back in, and I'll give you guys some options on that on the next plan. And just for your consideration, right on Main Street on this section, we only have, there's 1, 2, 3, I think a fourth right in here somewhere, and then 3 more. So it's about 7 trees. It's not a major part of the budget, but we've also talked about reaching out to the Department of Forestry. They have a program a couple times a year for both planting and design. I need to see where their cycles fall and where the timing is for when we want to get these things done and optimal time to plant the trees. But if we can get a little bit of extra money to get the trees done, we will try to do so. But basically, the overall scope of just focusing on the immediate area, immediate surroundings, not really going beyond this boundary. Again, mentioned the new street trees, and we have, all these mulch beds that surround the train depot, a couple more here, and then right as you approach Church Street, and It has served its purpose. The juniper is kind of overgrown. It's been lopped off on the sides, and for this, if it was on the side of the roadway or highway, the one thing that's good about the material, it handles the road salt and abuse well. But I will make some suggestions on removal and replacement, just to freshen those areas up. And one of the things Mr. McGee and I talked about was actually reducing some of the actual mulched areas and replacing those areas with pavers. And I'll show you a few examples on that as we move to one of the other sheets. And let's see. There is one useful purpose, right here with this kind of large swath of the juniper, is that it does give you a nice separation at an area where, you have traffic and the railroad, and this tends to keep people flowing in the right direction and not moving towards the road. So I don't want to do anything that would eliminate the safety that adds, more aesthetics, but a lot of the material has just, it was installed a long time ago. It's been trimmed and pruned back, and it's a nice opportunity with all the improvements. The depot's looking great, by the way. Just, again, icing on the cake to kind of wrap up this project ahead of 2025. And let's see. So, again, amenities such as seating, shade, lighting. There's really not much to change in the way of lighting around the site. We already have the decorative light poles. That mainly is something that I added, and I'll show an example on the last page in a minute. But we have, this kind of, it's that perfect in-between width deck of, what do you do with it? And that's one of the big challenges. That's probably the biggest challenge to figure out on this project is, making this, including it as part of the usable space, not just transition space for people to walk back and forth. So I'll show you a few ideas of my initial thinking on that. But when I show you this, it's kind of focused on this corner area here, keeping this as more transitional. This is transitional, but having kind of this little pocket of interest on the back, something that would catch your eye if you're coming from the parking lot here or coming up this way, that you'll see something and actually want to go and take a look at this area that's otherwise kind of left out. Waste bin storage and access. I believe right now the trash can, the waste receptacle that's picked up and used is stored right in this area. Is that correct? Was that the corner?
We've been moving them around because of the construction, so I'm not sure where they started out right now.
Okay.
They're kind of sitting out a little more toward the front.
So however that's working, and we could look at that when we go out there and meet to kind of look at those downspouts, but that's one of the things that we wanted to address, if there's anything that can be improved on, not only aesthetics of where it's stored and visibility from your visitors, but also, what is it for the staff to, move that to where it's actually picked up. So if there's anything we can do to improve that in the process, that's something we're focused on. We also have, this whole side of the depot is highly visible as you come across the tracks from south to north. And, a lot of your maintenance, all the necessary stuff, utility box, gas tanks, HVAC. I know right now the contractor and Mr. McGee, they're working on, what is still being used here and what will be kept permanently for service of the building. But we have some ideas on how to kind of dress that up and not make that an eyesore. So that's something that we're working on in this process. And let's see, what else? Make sure we got everything. Oh, and the other, with the possibility, it's good to hear that, thinking about the bike trail expansions, again, something we touched on in the master plan years ago, but actually connecting this walkway over to the sidewalk with more than just, kind of the gravel area that's just kind of spilled over from the railroad over the years, but actually make more of a defined and safer paved pathway that connects from your elevated deck over to the sidewalk at this end. And, our biggest challenge with working on the back is just where we're pinched between the property line and the railroad, and we know there's not a lot of leeway there, so we will work with what we've got. It's basically right where your railing is, and I believe it just runs straight across. There might be a slight little jog here, but that's again, it's just a little bit tighter in that area. Can you flip to the next slide?
Second one?
So, and these were actually some, believe it or not, Google Earth had actually, or their mapping service had actually updated these in September. So I guess they're getting around. A lot more spying on us everywhere we go now. So you can kind of see, what I'm talking about is, a lot of the shrubs. It's nice to have some evergreen material in there, because that gives you that year-round interest. After we get out of the growing season, you still have some kind of greenery there. So some of these things we'll plan on keeping, but a lot of the material really, I would say, has outgrown its useful life in the space that's available. For example, this is a nice bed that's representative of what you have along the front facade on Main Street. What we're talking about doing is actually cutting that bed space back by about a third, maybe a half, and doing some decorative paver accents in there. And my idea on that would actually be to use two-tone pavers, like a red and a chocolate, that actually ties in with the new trim that, the trim colors and the windows and doors on the depot itself with the improvements now. So we would have, kind of reduce that mulch bed, give you a little bit more hardscape surface area for people to walk on. That actually will help with the large crowds when they have like the parades, things like that, and not get trampled on as much, and then we won't have to put as much plant material actually back in. And one of the things with the plant material too is making sure we put something back in that is not going to outgrow the space that it's designed for. So we're talking a tier of like 2 to 3 shrubs, something at that 3 to 4 foot height maximum, but not solid, not dense, and then stepping down to like a low ground cover. And I think it would just give a more refined, attractive appearance from kind of what's been maintained at the time now. Again, you can see kind of our back area on the railroad side. This is what we're working with. So we have, I'm really focused on this corner as the main design area, but then, envision having a paver walkway that would run out here, and then, a little bit of screening for whatever utility equipment needs to remain. And I'll show you that on the next slide. Yeah, here's a better one. So kind of right along this area. And again, what we would do there is make sure that, anything that we use to screen could be, oftentimes what we'll do is it'll be sleeved in the ground with a post where it can just be lifted out and removed. So, any maintenance work that needs to be done, they can just lift a section of the fence out. Or just have a gated access. Usually it's easier if you can just pick it up, set it to the side, and put it back when you're done. And then one other area, again, just looking at some of the beds here, and something for you all to think about, and I'll recommend both ways. I actually, had thought about just eliminating these 2 beds entirely and fill with pavers. I don't have it in this shot, but right across the street at Baines, that area now where there used to be the overgrown junipers, all that was removed and pavers installed, so it would kind of mimic on both sides. Again, something to think about, but I'll give you an option there. And as far as any concern from safety and directing people to the crosswalk right here from parking, one thing we could actually do, and I don't think I had a photo on here. There's low decorative black bollards that you could install right at back of curb in the brick band, and actually have a chain that connected around each one. Again, it's another way that we can dress this area up. So I'll show you at our next meeting kind of some thoughts on that. I just want to give you an idea of where my wheels are turning at, and if you want to go to...
That's what we used at the Cortland Festival Park, the bollards and the chain.
Yes,
exactly.
ma'am. Exactly.
And it dresses it up a little bit, and it's good for safety, and you don't have to trim it and cut it every year.
Yeah, that's a little bit easier maintenance. Don't have to, and it serves its purpose and it looks good. Again, with the black finish, very industrial, sticking with the the time frame and the architectural style. These are initial thoughts on just kind of a clean, simple overhaul on the planning scheme, but giving you some year-round interest to kind of highlight the new and improved building. Actually going with a little bit of a patriotic theme, the red, white, and blue. I'm sure a lot of y'all pass by it every day. I don't know if you pay attention, but the State Farm office has these beautiful canna lilies. We don't see material like that around here a lot, so it's unique. It's different texture, a little more tropical. And it actually gives you interest throughout the whole year, blooms through the whole summer into the fall, and all they have to do is be cut back, and they come back every year. For a long time, they weren't used a lot here because they tend to be grown just slightly south of North Carolina. They're a lot more popular. But I see them installed everywhere here now. Obviously, y'all see that they look great pretty much year-round at the office right down the street. So again, a recommendation to kind of use like a red color. This would give you your evergreen through the year, and white flowering. These are autoleucon laurels. Very commonly used throughout Virginia, disease resistant, don't have a lot of problems with them at all. They tend to thrive wherever you install them at. Not much maintenance, they just need to be trimmed up and shaped occasionally, but really no problems there. And let's see. The other is the bluebeard. This is a flowering perennial. Again, gives you that, that little pop of color. They can be a little more violet to lavender in color, but, depending on the variety and even the alkalinity, acidity of the soil, it kind of depends on what brings out more of that blue color. But again, just kind of compact those beds down, use a little material that's, I feel, a little bit more appropriate in scale for the bed space, and again, kind of have a nice, patriotic theme that'll tie in with a lot of the events and flying flags on the poles, things like that. And we'll move along here. The next is, you guys have redone the doors and painted the accents with the dark brown and the gray color. So what my thinking was where, we have that bed space that I was talking about cutting back and doing some pavers, is actually using like a two-tone where we could do like a red and a chocolate, red and then a chocolate like this that would be similar, and just do a very, it's a small space. We're talking about a 20-inch to 24-inch wide by whatever. So it's not like we can do a whole lot or get crazy with it, but something that would just give us like a nice little pattern that again picks up on all the details that have been, highlighted and enhanced through the architectural revisions that have been made. Just want to give you my thinking on the direction on that. Then we have our challenging area in the back here, the elevated deck. So obviously we have the noise and we have the heat during the day, and those are two of the big things, and it's kind of hidden from view, seldom used, and whatever we can do to change that, even if it's a nice seating area, if people are riding their bikes or wandering through town, get an ice cream, have a little spot that they could sit down. But the thinking would be just to kind of focus on this corner, not necessarily the full, length, but, with the width, it's, I think we're at 10 feet. I've got to go back out there and verify a few of my measurements, either 8 to 10 feet. Without taking up too much of that width with things like tables, the idea would be to do something smaller like these, 2x2 or 20x20 tabletop, like the bistro tables that you might see at a cafe or something like that, which instead of having 4 chairs with them, they have 2 and everything is just kind of flush against the wall. And doing something, again, very industrial feeling, even something that we can, bolt directly to the surface so they don't, walk off in the night or anything like that. Don't know how many problems there are right around, the core of the downtown area, but it's something, we want to make sure. And usually the heavier thing, that's why a lot of the site furnishings, like the trash cans and benches, all the cast iron that they use, tend to be extremely heavy, so they're harder to vandalize or walk away. Even the trash cans are, bolted down. And again, kind of continuing that theme for, our service areas is to kind of dress that up and keep with the look. This is a type of, simple industrial enclosure. And again, things like this, we may not even have to necessarily reach out to a manufacturer somewhere. This may be a conversation between Jamerson and, a local fabricator. It'd be nice if we could use a local fabricator that could do the metal work, give them, kind of what the idea is here and say, here, let's, work together and get this built, come out, take some measurements and come up with something real nice. That's kind of the thinking for those areas. And again, kind of highlighting this area where we might do a table or two. The string lights are always, not only are they cheap, they're durable, they last forever. You can get a 25 to 50 foot strand of commercial grade string lights on Amazon for approximately $30. Plug them up or hardwire them, put them on a timer, put them on a photo cell so they go on and off automatically. We've got some options on that. But again, the idea would be just to give you this sense of enclosure in this space, like, you're not just passing through, but you can stop and kind of enjoy that area. And to give you that sense of enclosure, they actually have, and some of these are a little bit wild, so ignore the exact patterns I'm showing here. We can actually do, the sky's the limit with these, and again, we can work with a fabricator here locally, but typically you have aluminum or steel panels, and they're powder coat finish. They act as a privacy screen that's not a full solid barrier. You can see through it, so you're not fully enclosed, but at the same time, it's a psychological thing. It gives you that separation that I'm on this side, the train's on that side, the tracks, all that area is separate from the space that you would be in right in that corner. So, these can actually be installed, right on top of the deck, and they would come up, with some support post or something like this. and cross members and give you, a couple sections right here on that corner that as, you walk around or come from the parking lot, you're not looking right out at the gravel and the tracks and everything. You're looking at a more refined and finished space in that corner. And that's kind of the thinking, the direction there. We could even do something with these that ties in with the theme of the town or branding. Sky's the limit on that, really. And I think that's basically where we are. There's one other thing. We did talk about the idea of possibly doing some planters on this backside, give you a little bit of green, but we'll see kind of space-wise and budget-wise how that works. Planters could be added down the road, and another nice thing is the sound of moving water. We even talked about possibly doing like just a wall-mounted, very simple fountain or water feature. So if anybody's kind of sitting and gathering in that area, hanging out, that they would get that just kind of relaxing note of just hearing the water run. And I think that's basically where we're at the moment. Be happy to answer any questions from you guys, and if there's anything that has come up along the way, that would be, again, good to include in addition to what we're already talking about here.
Anybody have any questions at this time?
I like where you're heading.
That's what we want to hear.
Well, I like, this, the venue, the people at the end of the street wanted a place where something could be done and where they could come over and their guests could get a break and come over somewhere. That would be, what you're talking about, I think would be an ideal solution to that situation.
I think-
And anybody could come and enjoy.
Yeah, and all the teenagers seem to go to the love sign, and then they try to strike poses, with the depot. And I think, for their dances and homecoming and stuff, it would look nice.
Yeah.
Because it does get a lot of action down there for proms and stuff. So,
Homecoming.
That's right.
yeah, it would
That
look
would be
nice.
cool.
And
Well-
we've talked about these elderly plants and trees that are just gone out of, they need to go. You won't have any argument. I don't think with anybody. They're ready to go to the Robinson Funeral Home.
Understood. No, I think they've done well. It's interesting that some of them on one side of the street versus the other have some have done better, but
They get gnarly after a while.
yeah, they do. But the main thing we would look at again is a very similar shaped tree to what you have out there now. Something that's not going to spread out and be a problem with the cars or poke people in the face.
Mm-hmm.
We want that kind of slender upright growth. My only thought would be a flowering tree. There's some really nice like the pink flare cherry. That gives you kind of that first pop of color early when things really start showing up, and they stay in that compact form and don't require all the maintenance with trimming branches and things like that to keep them shaped. So I'll give you when we meet again 2 or 3 options with some photos, and then we can just decide and see where we get them and see if we can get somebody to maybe give us a little extra money to put them in too. So.
Well, I think also the idea of getting some of this made here in town. We've got the Virginia Metal Fab
Absolutely.
folks.
More
And I
than
think
capable.
it's something that would be unique to downtown and unique to the depot. I'd love to see some benches with, if you ever seen up at Liberty University, they've got some different logo kind of things on theirs. Just something to stand out that you're in downtown Appomattox.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that would be neat.
I think they used, there was a company, and I don't know if they're still around or if somebody else picked them up. It was Twist and Turns out of Roanoke. They're really good. We've used them in a lot of streetscape projects over the years. But again, you know, it's great to have some local resources that can
Yes.
do some metal work like this.
I'd
And
like to do some business with them.
what I could do is I'll kind of sketch up and refine the shape and the scale of these things to give them a better idea of what we'd be looking for. But again, very similar to what we have in the photos here. You know, just that maintain that kind of heavy industrial, clean, solid lines. I think it'll go great with the building and everything.
Maybe
You
even
guys-
the planters too could be.
The planners, absolutely,
done
yeah.
with metal.
All they do is put a liner in them, drill a few holes for drainage,
Yeah.
and fill them up. They're good to go.
This key, the ground cover here next, each side of that kiosk.
Yes.
I just think it's awful. It looks outgrown, it looks overgrown. It just, it's ugly to me. Now, I'm just one person.
It's very rough.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
is.
not-
like this
there's
would be
no-
clean, and that's just really.
There's no.
Yeah.
It
That's
just,
the best way Jane's got.
I just feel like it looks rough.
yeah.
Again, it's, you know, the junipers like that we use typically, you know, on the side of a highway or roadway where, you know, it's getting the snow plows and it's getting all the salt and abuse. You know, we're still going to have some of that here, but not as much.
It gets a lot of salt abuse down there. A lot of salt abuse. We killed every bush and tree on that. But now, so I would be highly particular we chop it down there.
Get it gone,
Don't worry.
right? Let's get it gone.
When you go down there for salt truck, it's building the building.
Building the building.
That, you know, you're right. It's on that side where the railroad is. That tends to
I
be.
think Ross never called the first year, when we killed all of them with salt one time. So we've actually been in and done that.
Well, we got to get some snow.
That's the reason it's so wrong, because it gets snow a lot.
I think we're due this year. No, we've got a long list of you know, plant material that will do well in those you know, kind of the rough, you know, not cared for or maintained, but will do well, and I'll say VDOT approved. But you know, something that we could put in that may be a slightly different texture than what we've got there. There's even some other junipers that look a little bit better. So we'll put it on the plan, and again, you know, see where the budget shakes out and make some
Well,
decisions.
one of the things we noticed during construction is, you know, we've got this wonderful back deck, but as soon as the sun comes up, it just cooks you.
It's hot.
And so, you know, the screens and stuff are kind of designed to give you a little bit, to give you a safe haven, because it really, you got this beautiful place, but it's so hot, the guys' feet were burning.
Yeah.
And they wear boots.
Good point. All right.
Okay, well, we appreciate, thank you.
Yeah, and just, you know, any other comments y'all think about afterwards, just filter
Please just let me
through.
know.
Okay.
And he and I will be meeting, I guess, tomorrow.
I'll get in touch with you sometime. It'll be after lunch. I'll give you a call, and if you're going to be around, just run over and we'll take a look at some of these things, and I'll work on, you know, refining site plan, and so we can start kind of honing in on a budget and you know, a complete design for you guys to look at and see, you know, what this would look like from concept to final form, and then we can work on getting some prices through the contractor. So moving right along.
I'm certain that you may have mentioned it, but I think a low/no maintenance thing would be the way to go, because we don't want to add to what they've already got to do.
I don't want Jeff mad at me.
And I'll also go so far as to say is, if you tell somebody you're gonna pull a tree up, it's gonna be somebody there to say don't.
Yeah,
So if
absolutely.
you gotta do it, then we'll put it in the
Yeah.
paper. Yeah, well, we did.
Some of the, you know, they can go away in the middle of the night. Hire the third shift crew to.
Yeah,
Night service.
it's rough. When I push my little stroller right there in front of Elliot's, that's bucking, and that poor little tree's having a hard time.
Yeah, it's
And you can hit your head on it.
They truly have stood the test of time, and trees like that in that environment and the tree grapes, they tend to have a useful lifespan of 20 to 30 years maximum, and we're right in the middle of that right now. So it's perfect time to say, okay, take them out, put something back in new, and that'll be the next for the next few decades. All right. Well, thank y'all so
Thank
much
you.
for
We
your time
appreciate
this
it.
Thank you.
evening, and
Thank you,
happy to
man.
be working on the project with you guys. We'll be in touch.
Appreciate you sticking with us.
Absolutely. Thank you, Claudia.
Thanks, sir.
So,
Thank you all.
Good night.
Terry, do you need me to hang around for anything?
No, I'll get back to you.
Good. All right. I'll give you a shout tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, have a great evening.
Thanks.
you too. Bye-bye.
Next order of business, adoption of consent agenda. All matters listed on the consent agenda are considered routine by the council and will be approved or received by one motion in the form listed. Items may be removed from the consent agenda for discussion under the regular agenda upon motion of any council member and duly seconded. Only item we have is the minutes of the August 29th, 2023 council workshop meeting. Entertain a motion.
Second.
Motion made and properly seconded. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Ayes have it, motion carries. To unfinished business, consideration to appointment individuals to the Train Depot Advisory Committee. Who has names? They'd like to put-
Well, I'll start. I have asked 3 individuals and they've agreed to serve starting in November. It's explained as much as I knew about it. And it's Kia Scott, K-I-A, Kia Scott. I think everybody is familiar with her. She's a lawyer, an attorney, and she works with Les Fleet. And then Madeline Abbott, and that's Watkins' wife, and she was very instrumental in helping us with the Rose program. And then Mike Kirk, and he is kind of a new resident of Appomattox. He is, I think it's 1212 Confederate Boulevard where he lives. Is that right? Because I asked, I think that's right. I think that's his address. He lives in a newly constructed house that Bill Jamerson built. It's right across from the Assemblies of God Church on Confederate Boulevard. And he is very knowledgeable in the things we would like to see or have some input into what some new ideas. That was the whole point of this, I believe, was to bring people from the outside, not part of the town government or on the town employees, to bring some fresh ideas, come together and bring some fresh ideas about the inside of the depot. That was what I was told. So I've asked those 3 individuals, and they have agreed to serve. Mike, K-I-R-K, Madeline Abbott, and Kia Scott.
I have Deborah Adair.
The actress.
Yes.
Yes, matter of fact, it is.
Yeah, was she?
She's creative. She's
Uh-huh.
lived all, been all over the world, and I just feel like she might have a good idea. So pick her brain.
I've got Stanley Cobbs. He's an entrepreneur. He's done a lot for our community. He's got good ideas.
I can say this with Nathan's permission. He's not here tonight because he's on his honeymoon. but he has asked Terry Jamerson, and she's agreed to serve. That's Philip's wife. She does wonders with interior design. And it's Terry, I believe, Jamerson.
Does anyone else have any names for consideration? How many people are going to put on the advisory? As many as you want.
I don't know.
I don't think we have a,
Set, okay, not a problem.
Did you have any names, Mayor?
No, ma'am.
Will somebody let us know when to when we have something organized for these folks to?
well, since we got the names now, we'll get their contact information, and then we'll set something up.
Okay.
So
Yeah, that's what I told them, that we would meet, initially, we would meet in the visitor center so that they could
Okay.
see, walk through it, and some of them have probably already been there, but it's been a while, so they, that's what we need to do, have a little walk through and a discussion initially. Sometime in November is what I told them.
All righty, if it is the will of the council, I'd like to introduce the motion to approve the names for the advisory committee of Madeline Abbott, Deborah Adair, Stanley Cobb, Terry Jamerson, Mike Kirk, and Kia Scott. Do I hear a motion?
I have a question.
Okay.
Tim?
Have we set up a guidelines on what we're going to do with the depot? Is this advisory committee gonna be dictating what?
They're gonna be
We
advising.
don't have any, at this point, we don't have anything, we can provide them what has been considered before. But outside of that, just giving them background information, we don't have any rules on it.
I'm just curious if we're putting the cart before the horse of, we don't even have nothing in writing of what we wanna use the depot for.
Accomplish.
And we're selecting these people, and they might be perfect and they might not, I don't know. I'm bringing that point up.
Well, I agree with you.
I do
think-
too.
I think Nathan's position was just for them to brainstorm and give us ideas. That's the way I understood it.
Yeah, and that was the same way I understood. They were proposing, and composing, to get together to see what they could come up with. But I don't think, we came up with any, matter of fact, when we talked to Deborah, I think we said we really didn't have any, because that was one of the first things that she asked. Was that, is there something we shouldn't consider? And we really didn't have anything on the table. If there are stuff that we can tell them ahead of time, that would be, save them a lot of time.
I'm just thinking, we leading towards, or written this section note that's not being used, or we're gonna lease it, or, we don't.
Well, that's just it. I don't think we know what people
What
would
to use
like
it
to have
for.
it be at this point. And I think, Deborah's taking this seriously. She kind of wanted to have some parameters to work within. She said, because she didn't want to see them put a lot of work and then come to the end and find out that what they've done is not anything we would consider. So I think we do need to come up with something, and that's why I was hoping, we'd have this discussion when Nathan was here, because it was his idea. And I'd like to see what he was thinking,
Yeah.
to what kind of parameters he may have in mind, because I do think we need to have something.
Well, I don't think it would certainly hurt to delay any kind of action on anything until he does get back in.
I don't
You still
either.
got the names regardless,
That's right.
but I'm kind of like Mr. Garrett there. You give 7 people a job to do and nobody knows what they're supposed to be doing. You don't know what kind of hodgepodge you're gonna come up with.
And
And just make sure they know that they're just brainstorming, it's nothing.
They're
we
not
can't
going,
stone
Yeah,
they don't have the
until
ability
we
to
think
dictate
it
to
through.
us
Right.
what we
And there's certain things
will
they need to
do.
be aware of, like not a lot of parking.
Right.
They need to remember that.
So the advisory. committee-
Budget. I think they need to know something about that.
Yeah, I mean, and even consider, you know, the use of alcohol within the facility. You know, that tends to be something that gets discussed, and, you know, you don't want them to come up with, you know, a bar.
Saturday night juke joint.
Well, at one time before, and us three that have been on here before, for that, when that happened, and when we were doing this same kind of brainstorming, the suggestion came up, and I will not name names, but it was two individuals, and they suggested turning it into a wine garden, and we absolutely, in my opinion, and I'm only one person, think that we need to serve any kind of alcoholic drinks from a public building. So we kind of got stalled with some of those ideas.
Yeah, and that's exactly the kind of stuff that would benefit them to know, look,
Yes.
don't take it down this road.
And I don't think, that's why I picked someone that I wouldn't think would think that, you know, would have different kind of ideas.
Well, I think too, if we can make up a little list of guidelines, it would be most helpful to them.
Right.
Because they are asking for stuff. I
They need
mean,
something.
Deborah's taking this real seriously and wants to do a good job, and something that will be beneficial to the community.
So another thing, sitting here thinking, how long is their term gonna be, or how long they gonna serve on this committee? I mean, all the other people that we appoint has, links of.
A sunshine date,
Yeah.
or sunset shade date.
Sunset. I think, you know,
Sunset.
until they come up with
That was
ideas
Bill
and
Gillespie's term
bring it
all
to
the
them, it'd
time.
be over. But see, that's something again that we need to,
So we got a group of people who gonna throw in a
we
room.
had Nathan's ideas. I mean, we didn't get all the ideas that he was, whatever he was thinking. And-
Originally, at the August meeting, he asked for a short-lived 3-month advisory committee.
Okay, okay.
Short-lived 3 months.
That'd be all
Yeah,
right.
it's nothing permanent, it's just to get the ideas bouncing. That's what I thought.
That's the way I looked at it
So how many
too.
council members are gonna be, all of us could be in that committee too?
I would hope so, because I think it's important for all, in my opinion, for all of the council members to hear what the suggestions are. That's
Well-
just me.
If we have more than two, it'll be a meeting.
That's
a
right,
public meeting.
but we can,
We're gonna have to.
We just need to work those details out, I think.
because we met before, remember, Timmy, we met several times at the visitor center in, for this very same purpose. Which we came up with nothing. We did
Good
come up with
questions,
some things,
Timmy.
but we didn't agree
We
with
didn't
them.
wanna do those.
We didn't want to do those. We were like,
So it kind of fell by the wayside.
Yeah.
So,
During my term, from the initial meeting, so they can present something to us by.
I think he said in March.
Yeah.
They can present to us at the March town council meeting.
Yeah.
And I think we ought to wait until we have another meeting and Nathan's here, and let's be sure that we,
Flush out the whole.
you flushed out the whole thing, and so we can get something really good ironed out for the committee.
Just table to the workshop meeting for that.
Be fine.
So I'm glad y'all went out and got to talk to people. I don't hinder any of the rest of us from seeing if we find somebody that we think.
So you need a motion now?
But-
to table
We'll
it,
just table it
No,
until.
we just go,
You need a motion to table it, right?
it's now a motion on the floor. We're just gonna push it down the road.
Table just any
The
kind of
approval
approval.
until,
Any kind of appointment of these individuals will be tabled until our workshop meeting, or whatever, how you want to say it.
yeah,
okay.
that sounds good.
On to new business. Consideration to adopt an ordinance to amend and reenact section 185-19 of the Code of the Town of Appomattox. Deals with parking and recording the signs and yellow curb markings.
It's a $50 fine.
Wait a minute, where are we?
And that will be,
Page 4 of the package. It's got the
Okay. I'll get my
ordinance
program.
and the item
Here we go.
we're amending.
Ms. Casto, that fine would be passed on to the county, for the county coffers, or what?
Um, I don't have any language to say otherwise. I guess it would be just, that's what we do now with the parking fines at the shopping
I
centers.
mean, because it would have to be a deputy sheriff that would write the
Correct,
citation, yeah, so,
Yes.
okay.
Parking, parking in fire lanes and parking in a handicapped parking spaces, that works right now. Aren't they all $50 a piece fine?
Handicap is,
Right now,
There's
Say
no-
what?
there's no fine right now.
Oh, for these.
But for these,
Well,
but
the
that's what,
others
the
that
others,
exist.
the others, there
Yes,
are.
it's 50, right. Currently, there's no monetary amount set for.
yellow spots.
Yeah,
For
the
these.
yellow
Uh-huh.
markings and no parking signs.
And my question, and I think we've talked about this before, does Sheriff Simpson and his staff, he's aware of this, right? I feel like he is.
Right.
What comment did
Right,
he
as a
have?
matter of fact, this came up because
At
they
his
said
request.
That's right.
you don't have a fine.
So he's aware of it and that we were thinking about creating.
We were asking them to write tickets, and they said, well, you don't have a
What are the
fine.
consequences?
Right.
Yeah.
Right, so
It's
you
an
write a
exercise in
ticket.
idiocy without a fine.
Yeah,
There's
we
no
need to
power
Take it
behind
and throw it away.
If they'd been up to the shopping center last Friday night, they could have made them a ton of money. People parking in the fire lane,
Uh-huh.
The
But they
fire
must not
lane,
have-
Think back to your question, the fire lanes are 50.
$50.
The handicap
Should be like 100.
is 100.
Yeah.
The
Okay,
handicap-
fire lanes are 50.
Yeah, but that's.
Who sets these
already
amounts?
established.
You do. The
I
town
get
council.
that, but I'm just saying, we need to have something to
Gives us
decide
consistency.
what the fine will be for these other violations. Fire lanes 50, and what did you say, the handicap is how much?
100.
100. Wow.
And this is anywhere in the town limits.
Yes.
Anywhere that the yellow curbs are marked.
Or no parking sign.
And they've been repainted recently. A lot of them have, I've noticed.
Yeah, or where there are no parking signs. Conformity with the signs or markings controlling such parking.
I'll make the motion to adopt it.
You making a motion?
I am.
I'll second it.
Motion made, properly seconded.
And can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
And you're making a motion and accepting it, at what fee?
50.
Do we,
$50.
do we say 50? Okay, that's fine, I understood, good, okay, gotcha. Does
that mean that myself and Timmy gets one free pass?
No, or maybe. Don't write that down.
Depends on how bad you
Don't
want to
like
pay
that.
$50 for whatever you're parking for. It's worth it. I don't know, they gotta get towed too, so it could get expensive.
Yeah, it can.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Let's start a
Any
tow
opposed, no. Ayes have it, the motion carries. Next item, consideration to adopt resolution 2024-001, amending fiscal year 2024 operating budget of the town of Appomattox. On page,
They're actually on the
6.
last 16 and 17, the last two pages. We'll tell you everything you need to know about the resolution. And if it doesn't, Kim can answer those questions.
This is just the other funding that's gotta be added and run through, right? From grants and
Some of it is.
some of it is.
Some
It's a
of it is.
recap of all the funding moves you all have made since July 1st. And some of them are just customary because they're multi-year, like our grants. Those are the balances that we still had left over that we now bring into our current budget. So all of it isn't, I guess, new funding. Some of it is just what's left over, like the ARPA as we move into the new budget. But we never know until after August 15th how much we should lose because we are still paying bills to that point off of the old budget. So now it's been cut off and we're truly on this new budget.
Okay.
That's me.
Oh, yeah.
Make a motion, we adopt it.
I'll second. You go ahead. Jim seconded.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote. Ms. Allen,
Yes.
Mr. Boyce,
Yes.
Ms. Spiegel.
Yes.
Mr. Garrett,
Yes.
Ms. Puckett.
Yes.
My vote to 5-0, motion passes. Next item, consideration to select a firm, CHA, for development of Town of Appomattox water study.
Could I get a little explanation?
We had one submission, to do our water source study. This is for us to, have a professional engineering firm, and this is a really large professional engineering firm. They are very well qualified. They have 1,700 employees. They're in 22 states,
Specializing in water.
specialize in wastewater
Water,
and
sewer.
water.
Yeah.
We have used them on several projects, including our I&I project. We're very comfortable with the company. They have we've been talking to them about what's been going on for a while, so they understand the whole idea of we need to find a water source.
I believe that I might be wrong, but I believe some representatives of that engineering company appeared before council when we were discussing the I&I. Is that not right?
Right.
Yeah.
So, they've been very effective in our I&I work. And they've also been helpful in a couple of situations that have come up recently in trying to help us with some of the issues in the wastewater plant. So, I wholeheartedly endorse the company.
Yeah.
I think they're familiar enough with, our situation, and we will get what we expect.
One thing I learned, Timmy and I sat in with a meeting with, Terry and Jeff, and one thing I learned is there's no surefire solution to all this, and that could possibly last us from now on. This stuff changes. I think it is in our best interest to have this study done with this organization, find out what the options are. We may have to fall back on these answers for another time too. I mean, you just don't know.
We haven't had a study like this done since, roughly 1997, that was this in-depth. And the good news is that it's a very good study then, and we can give that to them to start with. It really is, obviously water changes over time, but that gives them a very good starting point.
And their situation being what it is. We need to make some plans now, I think. It would behoove us to look into this and get a plan B in place.
One of the conditions of the RFP is that they will give us a plan in time for us to complete construction. I mean, you all know the issues that are going on with construction at this time, but they're very familiar with, that kind of stuff. So this is gonna, delaying it, I think, would be a mistake.
I'll make a motion that we select CHA for this water study.
I'll second.
Motion made, properly second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. The ayes have it, motion carries. Discussion of adding handicap accessible playground equipment at the kiddie park.
Yeah, we've had a couple of council members ask, if we wanted to consider replacing, expanding some handicapped equipment at the kiddie park. And so that was just brought up as a discussion item to see where the rest of y'all might.
I'd like to see us go ahead and buy us whatever the adequately supporting that park for us handicap what we need. Because there is a need in the county for that, so, town.
Right, okay. And we have a couple, I think we have a swing, one swing that's accessible. And I just spoke with Ian Dixon about, the project that they did over on Police Tower Road. So I talked with that company and he and I are meeting this week also. So he mentioned that, when it comes to handicapped equipment, there are basically 2 or 3 levels. There are, kids who are in wheelchairs and can get out, and then those who have limited mobility, they're not in a wheelchair, but, those are kind of the 2 different levels of services that they can provide. And he said a lot of times it's just the surface that they're, given as to, if you can give them a flexible surface that they don't fall and get hurt on, that in a lot of cases, that's enough.
And there's lots of things I looked online about it. I mean, I know we're a small town, but some of it's just basically a ramp, and then the kids get to somewhat of a platform with things they can access. There's things you can push the wheelchair under and move your arms. It's, it's not, a swing is a swing, but there are other.
It's a very scalable.
It's a variety of things and expenses you could get, so.
So again, by the workshop, I should have you some information on that.
I'm not sure, but, the Methodist Church on Court Street, they have a very big playground, and they may have some a few handicapped items for all those kids they keep. It's a daycare. It's not United Methodist anymore, it's Methodist Church.
I know they don't allow handicapped children in the daycare.
Okay, so then they must not have any
They
equipment.
don't, you have to be able to walk to go to that daycare.
Uh-huh.
I know that.
Okay.
And they
That's
lock
right,
that
'cause
playground.
We'll work there, yeah.
They do lock that playground, so I don't think you can get.
No, I wasn't suggesting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm just
in
saying.
any way, shape, or form. The public can't
They
use
might have it
them.
for
They have
church,
to-
yeah.
I just wondered if they had any equipment that
That
they
they're not
could
using.
use. That's what I wondered.
Right, yeah, I don't know that.
He meet with him, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
I do think we need to address this, and if there's something safe, that we know it's very safe, that we won't have any problems with, we ought to do something big on education, and these children do not need to be left behind.
Left out.
That's right.
Okay.
All right. Terry, we look forward to presentation on some of those items at the workshop. All righty.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah, any other new business come before the council? Council standing committee reports, finance,
Nothing tonight.
infrastructure.
We met on the water study and presented tonight and got it passed, so that's one thing we did meet on.
Okay.
No changes on that?
Nothing tonight.
Thank you very much. Do we have any citizen comment? Okay. Town manager's report, Terry?
Okay, I'm gonna hit the highlights because I covered a lot of it in the update. But we just about got everything ready for the Railroad Festival as far as we only have one piece of equipment left in the library parking lot. They are supposed to come pick that up tomorrow. We've got one dumpster left in the parking lot in front of the visitor center. They're supposed to pick up that tomorrow morning. Those are the two big,
Space Eaters.
spaces that I think we got left to get that done. Let's see. We will begin meeting with the Brownfield Corridor Study Consultants the 13th and 14th of November. They have asked if we could talk to the property owners at the garment factory. They would like to make a presentation to them, so to get permission for them to walk it around in the building. Because they really have a lot of offerings, and there's absolutely no liability that they would gain through this process. So if we can get them to allow them to go inside,
And what are the buildings you're talking about again?
the garment factory
Yeah.
that's the
And
one
the
that
other?
they need to go into because it's so large.
Any other building right now? Or just that?
The hardware store is on the list.
Oh, you're talking about the old yeah, on Main Street or Church Street,
Gerald's store is on the list.
yeah.
I was trying to think, I think there's maybe one more. The house that's on Church Street, that's,
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
and I don't know if y'all noticed on that handout that I sent, that a brownfield, we used to think it had to be, polluted in order to be a brownfield, but it doesn't. And so if you know of any place other that we should consider, the corridor that we're looking at right now is Confederate, Court, Main,
church.
Court, and then
Church.
no, let's see, Confederate, Court, Lee Grant, to pick up Lee Grant and everything that's on the inside of that. It goes back to church.
Okay.
Should we just tell you if we see them?
Yeah,
If
you
there's
can
something we
give me an
would,
address, we will include that as far as what they look at. And, this first thing that they're gonna do is, the first thing they'll do is an inventory, they'll do an assessment, and then they can make remedial action. Most of these people are architects. They can come in and look and see what you got and say, hey, maybe this part needs to be torn down, this part can be saved. But they really do have a lot of ideas, and they also know grant fund places to help owners out, so they're not left just holding the bag with ideas that can't be played out.
But you first have to have written permission from the owner of,
The owner has to for them to go inside the building. They can
right,
they can do a lot now just from
looking in the
Google.
outside, yeah.
But if they can't see the inside and can't see the structure, that's the part that would be really important to us, because we really would like to be able to find out how much could be done, and that's going to give them the most options.
So, but you named some locations. Are you saying that's all you want? If we come up with an address, it could only be on like Lee Grant, Church Court,
If there,
for right now?
there's another house on Lee Grant, I think that probably should be included. I don't have it on here, but the roof is caving in. And Rob just talked with the owner recently. And his intention, he just had
It's
it
not
sur-
occupied, yeah.
He just had it surveyed.
It's on what side, Jane?
It's just not, the house is not occupied, it hadn't been for a long time.
Oh, okay.
But the owner just had it surveyed. His parents lived in it. He lives in Amelia, I think. And, he would like to sell the house. But the town has an easement that basically goes across, almost a diagonal across the lot. And so, it does take away from, resale value because they can't build anything on a very large portion of the lot.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
And I think there's a house on Highland nobody's lived in a long time, and the roof, either on the, I haven't been around the back of it in a long time, but the building, the garage, it had a tarp on it for a long time. I haven't been back by there.
So anything, just because it's not in there, if it's closed, just let me know and we'll get them to look at it. I met with Chief Merrick's of Alta Vista. They have the school speed zone cameras. Chief Merrick's is a big supporter of this. He said it clearly has made a difference. It doesn't cost the town anything. It does, the only person who pays for the entire program is the people who are speeding. And the way it works in Alta Vista is that if you're speeding in a school zone with the flashing sign, the fine is $100. The town gets $75 and the company gets $25.
How much does a flashing speeding,
It's a 25-mile-an-hour zone.
I mean, how much does investment would the town have to,
Zero.
who provides that?
The company that has the.
Oh, the company does
Does
that.
the cameras.
Okay,
So there's no cost to the town at all. The hard part for us is it does require a law enforcement official to, that you just can't set up the cameras. You have to have a law enforcement official to evaluate the videos, because that's what happens is, Chief Merrick's comes in every morning. He's got literally 5 to 15 minutes worth of videos of infractions. He pulls out his schedule of the school because Alta Vista decided that, if somebody's speeding and it's not during the school hours, they don't send them the ticket.
so it's just in effect during school hours?
Just during the school hours. We have a little bit different situation in that, the primary school, elementary school is 25 all the time anyway. So, in that case, we may not need flashing lights, but that was one of the contested areas that people always wanted to go to court with Chief Merrick's, is that they would say, oh, the sign wasn't flashing. And so they found a way to overcome the fact that they proved that the sign was flashing at the point that the people were speeding. There's another option too, and that is a school bus stop sign camera. So if you go around the school bus with a stop sign, that camera
yeah.
will get you too. And that fine is $250.
They utilize that in the city of Lynchburg.
Yeah, that's a absolutely good idea.
They
It's
use that
wonderful to
all the
keep children
time in the
safe.
city of Lynchburg. With it.
I'm standing with Sheriff Simpson. When he was here the other week, he said that the fact that you got a ID whoever's driving that car, whoever that police officer is that views the tapes. I think we're gonna get into a mess, and the sheriff's department might not wanna fool with all that.
Well, and that's really the biggest issue is that, if the sheriff's department is not, if that's not willing, they're willing not to take on that kind of a workload, then it wouldn't work for us.
I think Sheriff Simpson said that he was not a fan of those
He did.
The last
Yeah, he
time
liked
we
a
did.
human to do it.
Yeah.
Well, I wish we had them out there
And
doing it.
Chief Merrick said he knew, he said, I know what Donnie thinks about this, so.
Okay.
And Chief Merrick's also said, we made every possible mistake you can make with this program. They were the first town in Virginia to implement these cameras because the legislature allowed them to be placed in school zones and work zones. And Alta Vista was the first one to try it.
But the fact that 9 people have done that on a school bus is scary. With the stop signs out.
I had one morning at Concord, I had 2 stops on that route I was driving. I had 5 go by me at the first one. I had 2 more go by me at the second one.
Yeah, that's scary.
All of them got caught by the red light when they got to it. So I don't know what their hurry was.
Get to work because they were running late.
They're not trying to pass me, they can get there. And it happened the last time. I met one on Purdue Mill that ran it. Had another one run up there. For safety's sake, we had reduced those 2 stops to 1. I still had one run me a couple weeks ago. So, somebody in a hurry.
Any other discussion on that question? Downtown revitalization, we're about 95% done with the downtown. We got the signs, I believe are supposed to get in tomorrow. They're finishing up the handicap accessible sidewalk in front of Wayne's. They're getting some of the finishing touches. We got to figure out the railings on that. Also, we held a fair housing student art contest. That was just one of the things that DHCD had indicated they wanted us to do. We put out 165 applications at 21 locations in the town. All the schools, public and private, all restaurants, all pharmacies, and a couple other businesses. The due date for that is tomorrow. So let's see if we get entries for that. Jeff, you want to talk about the VDOT stuff on Old Courthouse?
Yes, sir.
Well,
We ran into some issues on the water line replacement down on Old Courthouse Road. Talked to most of y'all about it. Looks like I told you, what I'd like to do is ask y'all to reappropriate, if I'm saying this right, Kim, $60,000 to fix the issue we're having. And after today, I'm pretty sure staff, David Carter and George have been down there working on it, done a good job helping me figure out some things. I think we're gonna save some money, but on the safe side, I would like to have y'all put that much money in there for me, and what I don't use, it would just go back into the budget.
so basically, you're asking for a budget amendment from us?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. And if the total $60,000 is not used, would that go back into your budget?
No, ma'am,
It will go back
Kim will
into
take care of that.
ours.
No, we're not using it,
Well,
no.
What'll just happen, because your budget is from year to year, so.
Yeah.
I'll add that if that's the wishes, and then if it's not used,
It'll go back.
it just won't be used.
It
We'll
just
make a
won't
brand
be,
new budget
yeah,
next
you
year.
won't have to take it out of our budget.
Right. Yeah.
Just take out just what you need, and that's unknown right
line will
now.
just stay
Oh,
there.
I got it.
Yeah.
Now, what kind of action do we have to take tonight?
I mean, they can authorize it, but we still have to have a public hearing
Yeah.
on the budget amendment.
It's a budget amendment.
But we'll do that at a later date.
Yeah.
You
So we
can,
got consensus.
To authorize it or what?
I think, I mean, you can vote to authorize him to spend it. We'll just have to come back and finalize it with a
Okay.
public hearing for a budget amendment, a lot like what we
Yes.
did tonight for the earlier thing.
And I'll keep tracking those and you'll get another group. That's how we got to the point tonight. I'll continue to keep those and then I'll present them.
Rather than you get
One every time, public
Yeah.
hearing. Mhm.
Well, I'll make a motion, we proceed with whatever means we need to do to give them that money.
And I'll second that.
Thank y'all.
Motion made, seconded. Any further discussion? This is to allocate $60,000 to the water line replacement on Old Courthouse Road. By voice vote, Ms. Allen,
Yes.
Mr. Boyce,
Yes.
Ms. Spiegel.
Yes.
Mr. Garrett,
Yes.
Ms. Puckett.
Yes.
5-0. Motion to appropriate the funds is approved. We'll do the budget amendments in the required time period.
After the public hearing, and I guess Roxanne will immediately advertise that so we can, you have to look at the.
We can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get that behind us too. Okay.
So we can-
And I hope everybody enjoyed the original Italian pizza.
Absolutely.
Today, I talked to Tony a couple of times today. He said they were slammed all day long.
Was this their grand opening day?
Today was their first opening day. I told him, I hope they do it 150 years. So it really was, I mean, considering their first day, they really weren't backed up. And I was in there at 5 o'clock and there were people coming hard and fast, take out, sit down. They had enough people in there to take care of everything today.
So what's this man's last name? You say Tommy? What's his?
Tony.
Tony.
I don't know his last name.
You don't know, you just know Tony. Okay.
No, Tony.
Yeah, and the buffet is wonderful too, and that's.
Yeah, it was cheap. It looked cheap, like it's affordable from what
Yeah.
I saw on Facebook.
$8.50.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's like at 11 to 2 or something like that, because they have that in their Madison Heights restaurant. I'm very excited. Do you have any update at all about the Papa John's?
No, nothing from Papa John's.
Because I thought you said last time they were hoping to open by October. This is October.
Yeah, I just haven't heard back from them.
But they're coming. Yeah. Okay.
And also Arby's is still talking, so
Okay, that's good.
we'll find out.
I love curly fries.
Also, I just got back from VML conference.
Uh-huh.
And I got a lot of good information. I didn't have time to write it up tonight, and I figured it was gonna take us till 9 o'clock if I did, so. And it's not something that's gonna change your life tonight, so. But it really, they have a lot of, it's nice to find out what everybody else is experiencing. I talked to the Norfolk Fire Chief, about buying, communities buying fire equipment. He said, hey, I'm the Norfolk Fire Chief, and I can't even get a bid on a fire truck. He said the same fire truck that cost him $500,000 2 years ago is $1.3 million right now. He said fire apparatus equipment is he said they got hundreds of thousands of orders. They don't care whether they get a bid or not because they can't fill the orders they got. That's how backed up
Crazy.
they are. But he did say, the best thing that you can do is find out, when things are gonna come needed and plan for that accordingly. So,
And I believe that our volunteer fire department is extremely good with that because we always get the heads up, and the
Right.
county does too.
so he gave several recommendations about, and I won't give you all those, but I got a lot of good information along those lines about, the bids and stuff, construction and stuff. We're not seeing anything different than everybody else is.
Misery loves company.
The Did he give you somebody who would expand their operation and start building fire trucks in Appomattox?
Open a plant. We got plenty of
We got a
work.
spot for that.
Workforce is great.
I got a great session on small manufacturing, so I don't think I probably put it, but they got some really good recommendations about how to attract small manufacturing.
Wonderful.
You know, so, and they were all happy about,
That's
you
exciting.
know, Virginia Metal Fab. Everybody's excited that the Thomasville factory was, because
Yes.
everybody knows the Thomasville.
Yes.
Thank you for that brief synopsis, and we look forward to your detailed report. Anything else, Mr. McGee?
Yes, sir.
Council comment, Miss Allen.
I don't know about you guys, but I got a new light on my street, and it's bright and it matches all the other ones, and it looks really nice. That made me happy. I sent Mary Lou a text. I was like, I got a new light.
I know, and then,
It's a
and
little
of course
thing.
I said, that's good for you. I don't have it. Don't even go there. I know, I understand why.
Yeah, I was
She
looking.
just want to make me jealous.
I was looking on here. There's a domestic violence vigil coming up. I believe it's next Tuesday night. I can't find it on my events, but that's happening in town. I think it'd be good for people to support that.
And hasn't, in the past, has that not been held at the Methodist Church? But
It's usually at the Love Sign.
at the Love Sign, okay.
I can't find it, but
Send me something on that so I can push it to me.
I'll see if I can find it while everybody else is talking. I'll look for it.
Yeah, just send that to me. And I'll try to forward it on to Denise too.
Okay.
Mr. Boyce.
You know, I just appreciate the unity of this council. There's a lot of places, got a lot of things going on, and the council fights left and right. But I think it's just that we have that small town thing, we're all family, and it makes things so much easier. I mean, even when there's difficulties like water lines, sewer lines, street lights. I ain't got a new street light yet, but I got a pole up, so there will be one going on there eventually.
It's exciting.
You'll get one before I will.
Doesn't take much to get us all excited, does it?
But just the work that this council does and the unity that we have, it just makes it enjoyable to be able to tell somebody, yeah, I'm part of that. And I do appreciate your prayers and your calls for this latest reconstruction project of mine. Eventually, it'll all be done.
You bionic
Hopefully.
man.
Knees, will be next.
Can't even
Hips.
walk through an airport now.
Ms. Spiegel.
I don't have a thing tonight.
Mr. Garrett.
I'm good.
Ms. Puckett.
I'm good.
Well, the only thing else I have is I will be judging the event Saturday at the Railroad Festival.
What are you going to be judging?
I tell you that. I did the same one I did last year. It's a kind of entrepreneurial thing that the folks down at, what is that, address of the place of the venue down there below.
1848
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, yeah.
They're gonna be doing that again this year.
venue, and what are you judging? Art?
They're entrepreneurial, the youngsters come out.
Youngsters.
and
Oh, I got it.
Present their
Cool.
business ideas and how they're executing them, so.
I just pray we don't get rain Saturday on the Railroad Festival. Hope it rains.
I will talk to Mr. Stafford and Mr. Flickinger and our U.S. meteorologist, Mr. Battle, and make sure we don't have no rain this weekend.
Good luck with that.
I know.
I'll ask.
Let me remind you, they're the only people I know can be wrong over half the time and still keep a job. Just saying.
Hey, when I cut hay, when you hit me for rain, I cut hay.
All right. Motion to adjourn, and here's second.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. We're adjourned. Thank you very much.